to boost your confidence, to gain confidence in this world, improving self-esteem, dealing with adversity and the hurdles in life that we have to overcome, and building self-confidence to rise above all those hardships in life that we all face. It's just a part of life in this world, it seems to be, doesn't it? Hey everyone, this is James Nussbaumer, and thank you again for joining me on another episode of the For a Better Life podcast. Today is April 15th, tax day, but it's a Sunday today, 2018. So that means tax day is tomorrow for people that live in the United States. But anyways, thanks for joining me. And we're going to talk today a little bit about, think about something. When you can boost your confidence and trust in yourself more from within, from within your heart, we like to say, not your actual physical heart, but from within you. Dealing with adversity can be a not so difficult matter. And by the way, before I get going here, I've got a wonderful access link in the description area. If you're listening to this at YouTube, in the description area down below on presence and power that you need to take a look at. And if you're at my website listening to this, that link is available there to you. It's all over the place. You'll see it. But bear with me. It's early in the morning, and I've got the sniffles a little bit. I've got a little bit of a cold, but nothing major. It's just, it could be allergies, because since a kid, I had an allergic thing. Back then in the 60s when it came about, it was called hay fever. So I've always been one of those hay feverish kind of people. But, we all have at one time or another felt like we needed to begin searching for how to begin improving self-esteem when feeling lost from our desires and our ambitions. And, perhaps it might have seemed like it did for me, like a wrecking ball just came through your life and attacked you. It did. A wrecking ball took its toll on me, for those of you that know my story. And by the way, if you don't know me and you're new to this, my book series, which is on book 3 now, and all 3 books are at Amazon, published by Ozark Mountain Publishing Company, a great publisher I have a tremendous relationship with, a mainstream publisher, by the way. My books are on sale everywhere books are sold. And I hope that you'll pick up, I hope you'll join my series of books. Book 4 is going to be coming out in, I'm hoping 6 months, because it's already written. We got to go through all the editing and all that. But anyways, on to this podcast. If it seems like a wrecking ball has kind of come through your life, then, maybe that's why I'm going to give you this lesson from A Course in Miracles workbook that I had turned it into a mindfulness meditation. And the words go like this, but we're going to talk more about that as I go on today. But the words go like this, so you can keep it fresh in your mind. No, you don't have to keep it fresh in your mind, because also in the description area of YouTube, if you're at YouTube listening to this, it is noted there. So I hope that you'll take the time to scroll down to the description area and jot down these words from A Course in Miracles that I've changed around a little bit and turned it into a meditation. It says, there is another way of looking at the world, and my power and my full potential rests within me, not somewhere outside of me. That's key in understanding that. Your power is not somewhere outside of you, is within you. And that's what we're going to discuss here today. But there is a place within you where there is perfect peace. And in this session today of a For a Better Life podcast, we will explore together more on rising above adversity, as the old saying would go, and dealing with life challenges and life hurdles and the hardships in life. Oh, by the way, as you're listening to me too, at my blog, jamesnussbaumer.com, you can just go to jamesnussbaumer.com/dealing with adversity. if you're really having trouble and you want to read up more, oh, now, excuse me, let me take another sip of coffee here. It might help my sinuses this morning. But at jamesnussbaumer.com/dealing with adversity, it might help you to dig a little deeper within yourself to overcome the stuff that's holding you back, which we're going to discuss coming up here soon. So stay with me. And also, practicing reflection principles, one of my favorites. And there's a free ebook that I highly suggest that you take advantage of. And that link is also in the description area of the YouTube video, and is also, if you're listening to this at my website, is also disclosed there for you to access and take a look and see if that ebook is something that you want to download on how to use reflection principles to get the life you want and overcome the struggles in life. But when you follow strategies like I'm going to be talking about here soon, you learn that continuing to invest in fear and self-doubt only feeds the ego in us. And you're going to learn more about the ego a little bit as we get going. And if you know me and you've read my books and my blogs and seen some of my other videos, and you're familiar with what I mean by the ego, but only the spirit in you can move you forward in life and find happiness. Yes, only the spirit in you. And by the way, if you're at YouTube listening to this right now, please subscribe to my YouTube channel. And by the way, just click on subscribe right now, and subscribe to my YouTube channel. I hope that you do. Well, let's move on here. Dealing with life challenges and adversity can be sometimes, like I had said earlier, really not that difficult of a thing when we trust in our inner self, meaning not the body that makes these decisions about things that we do every day. I'm talking about deeper within, below the surface level, when we can trust deep down. We all have lost, though, our desires and ambitions at some point in our life. We've all went through things where we've been down and we feel like the world just beating up on us. The poor me kind of attitude. And then there's nothing wrong with having that once in a while if we learn how to bounce back off of that attitude. But we often seem to be running out of steam when we need it most. And then, feeling more down and out and in the dumps, yes, like down in the dumps and miserable over, the reason that we don't have any purpose in our life and energy to live a life of purpose and passion. Then even more worried and anxious we get, contemplating, all the effort that we might see ahead of just trying to get back on our feet and overcome adversity. When I was faced against my situation, for those of you that know my story, and I'm not going to get into that, but it's been several years ago now, but I'm still recovering. My God, when I was faced with that 10-year prison sentence, I didn't know, how am I going to overcome this? But, I just dug in and went deep within, and I found a way. But, you like me may have been taught to trust yourself. We've all heard it before. Just tell yourself you can do it, or, that you can do anything you want in this world. All you got to do is just, put your heart into it, that kind of thing. And, and my favorite is, work a little bit harder and, work a little bit longer hours and you'll make it. You'll make it. Grind your fingers to the bone if you have to. You'll make it. I got to take another sip of coffee on that one. I hope you chuckle with me on those kind of quotes, if you know where I'm leading to. Oh, the good coffee from the grocery store. But let's take these, caring and, well approached upon lessons to another level, to where our real mind, our real inner self, so we can overcome adversity. And what is the adversity that we have to overcome? It's the ego-based mind. And I'm going to get into that here. If you were trusting in strength on your own, just on your own, you have you have every reason to be apprehensive and worrisome and, full of anxiousness and, just, afraid of things and, full of doubt and just kind of lonely in the world. But what if, well, let me back up and say, what is there in yourself that you can predict? What is there in yourself, maybe as an intuition, so to speak, that you can decide on, I'm going to get a grip on this? What if can you reach that? Is there something that you know deep down in, but sometimes you shy away from that notion that's in you, where I can get a grip on this, but then later you start thinking, there are too many things against me, too much of a climb. I'm just can't do it. But what is there in you that can be counted on? I'm going to repeat that because it's important that you understand this as we go on. What is there inside of you that has an intuition, a certain little spark of light, so to speak, that says to you, or you're thinking that, hey, I can get over this. I can get through this. If I can't get through it, I can go around it somehow, but somehow I will overcome this adversity. There's some spark in you, but then again, there's something else that says, give up. You're just doomed. But, what is there in you that you can truly trust? Do you ever have that little glimpse, that little tiny feeling sometime? Little tiny feeling sometime. You glimpse something that you can trust within yourself. Sure you have. I know you have. Well, what is it in you that gives you the recognition of the right way to solve a problem and the guarantee that you can, start stepping out and stepping up and maybe crawling if you have to out of the deep crevices that you've, got yourself jammed into, and overcome adversity and achieve the life that your full potential? Can you do that? Your ego mind, which I like to call in my books the ego-based mind, can do none of these things. The ego-based mind cannot help you crawl out of a hole to better your life. No way. To believe that you can is to put your faith and your belief system where trust and belief is really, it's a fake belief, fake trust, fake faith. Kind of like how today everyone's calling fake news. Yes, to believe that you on your own can climb out of the hole that you put yourself in is fake news to yourself. It is just to justify your fear and anxiety and depression and, your loneliness and, your bitterness is a lot going on. But, think about that I had just said, all those things, the depression, the bitterness, the sorrow, and sorrow just continues. If, you heard the old saying, you want to be on your deathbed someday and saying, I wish I would have done things differently, but, who can place their trust and their full attention and faith, we can say, in weakness and feel safe about that? Can you go out on a mission and place your trust in the weakness about you and feel that you're going to succeed? No, you can't. On the flip side of that dollar bill, who can say that their faith in strength is going to make them weak? No, I guess what I'm saying is you're not going to go out. When I was facing those 10 years, I was not counting on my weaknesses to pull me through. But on the other side, but there was a lot of weaknesses, believe me. I was weak as hell, okay? But I knew that I had to climb out of that whole hell in my mind, and then I had to turn over to the flip side of things where I could say that I gotta find whatever strength there is within me, and I've got to start pulling from there, pulling myself up from there. And that's what I did. And we've all been through similar things. Not just me. We all have. I use the word God, G-O-D, because that's what's comfortable for me. Excuse me. Just a little cough. It's just hay fever thing. Like I said, I'm not sick. It's just kind of, I got sinus and all that. As I sip on another cup of coffee, it's early in the morning and it's a dreary morning too. And, so that there goes to, if it was a sunny morning, maybe I wouldn't be having these sinus problems. You think? Maybe the weather. How does the weather have something to do with everything? Is it in our mind? But anyways, God that I use is there's different words. Remember, like I always say in my books, G-O-D, the word God, is it is something. It's letters in the alphabet. You can use whatever name you want that makes you feel good. But anyways, I use God because that's what I was raised on, and I like it, and I know what God means. I know that I'm not obligated to those three letters, G-O-D, but I know I'm obligated to what the meaning is behind those three letters, G-O-D. The meaning behind the word G-O-D is what I am attracted to. God is your safety in every circumstance and is how we all can overcome the life challenges we face, because he, with a capital H, he is in you, and his voice that he allocates through our human body, called the Holy Spirit, which is your natural guide, does the communicating to you. When you have those feelings, that little glimpse that I can overcome this adversity, that little spark is the Holy Spirit trying to come through, because we're so covered with the ego-based mind, which is that doubting Thomas in us, that fearful and judgmental, often just critical aspect in us that wants to judge, fear, and doubt all the time. Look around. The world is full of that. That's the ego mind that's in us all. A Course in Miracles states that his voice speaks for him in all situations, telling you exactly what to do in order to call upon his strength. His protection is guaranteed. There are no exceptions because God has no exceptions. And the voice, his voice, and the voice that speaks for him, the voice that speaks for him is the Holy Spirit. That's the voice, and it's in you. The voice that speaks, is just, you hear it all the time, don't you? Yes, you do. Because we all do. That's the glimpse, that's the glimmer of light you feel one time. Maybe one time only, when you're, faced with an adversity and you're like, man, I can't get that light, that spark just seemed to went out. Well, it's because you are focused too much on the fear and doubt, and you're afraid to let go of the fear and doubt, which is the ego-based mind. We're going to get going here, and as I talk about his voice, the voice for God, not the voice of God, the voice for God, who is instilled in us while we're here in this world, kind of like an antivirus system on your computer. All you have to do is listen to that voice, and if you're having a problem, is ask him to correct some things. But there are no exceptions, because to that rule that I had just said about all you have to do is ask and it will be, you shall receive. There are no exceptions to that because God has no exceptions. And the voice that speaks for him knows all of this. There's no exceptions in God. Exceptions would mean conflict. There is no conflict in wholeness. What is whole? WHOLE is whole. It's not split apart. An exception would mean, oh, well, a little part of this is we got to put over here and another over here. No, God is whole. But we as humans can't understand that. Here's another article related to what I just said on how to overcome feeling lost and confused in life through the power of self-forgiveness at jamesnussbaumer.com. Just go jamesnussbaumer.com/power of self-forgiveness. Okay, here's the great exercise that I use when I am up against dealing with big time adversity. And it goes like this. The words are, there is another way of looking at the world. Another way of looking at the world. Once again, I have to clear my throat and I apologize. But I really am okay. I still think it's that hay fever, even though there's no hay around, but you know what I mean. But I want you to reach past your own weakness to your source with a capital S, your source of your own real strength. You know, only you know how to find out where that is. And if you need help on a breathing meditation exercise, I highly suggest a mindfulness practice that I use that is wonderful. And you can find that at my website. But this exercise will take all the truth that you are. This exercise will take all the truth that you are about, what is in you, and it will allow you to just go ahead and, without any effort, find it, like now in this instant. And the exercise goes like this. Are you ready? Sit back. If you're listening to me, here's how this exercise goes. You can use it in a breathing meditation. If you don't like meditation and you rather use prayer, then use prayer. Prayer and meditation is basically the same. But to be real quick, in a previous podcast we talked about, prayer is the asking and meditation is the listening. So here it goes. It's an exercise that only takes a few minutes, and I like to do it first thing in the morning, and it goes like this. First of all, in this exercise, you need to sit or lie down. If it's in the middle of the afternoon, I'll just sit up in my comfortable chair. Or if it's in the morning, before I get out of bed, I'll lay flat on my back in my nice, comfortable bed, and I'll say, in this exercise, I'll sit there or lay there comfortable and do some good, comfortable in and out breathing. Get that going on. And I'll repeat these words within myself. You can say them aloud, but if you got some people around, you might not want to do that. But you could, think about the words or talk to them if you're alone. Say the words aloud. And the words go like this. There is another way of looking at the world. God is the strength in which I trust. I'll repeat that. There is another way of looking at the world. God is the strength in which I trust. And that's all it is. For example, you could change the words around a little bit and say like this. There is another way of looking at the world, and I now can see that God is the strength in which I trust. So, try to put a rhythm to this as you start your day, or maybe as you're ending your day and you're getting ready to go to sleep. But if you start your day, like I said I do, and then you're going about your day, so all this is annotated at my blog article that you may be seeing this at, or at YouTube. So, write this down if you would for yourself. Don't procrastinate. That's the ego wants to, I'll just do it another time. That's the ego in us. And then that another time, another cup of coffee. Oh, it tastes so good this morning. Okay, you are now what's happening now when you say this? There's another way of looking at the world, and I now can see that God is the strength in which I trust. And you're putting a rhythm to it, and you're feeling good. There's a rhythm in your breathing, and you're feeling the words. You don't even have to think about it. They're just flowing. You are now trying to slip past all the worries and all the things that are related to your own feelings of feeling like you need, self-esteem help, or you're just feeling inadequate towards the world. You're going to feel that the ego tries to nudge you a little bit from your resolve by insisting that you still are inadequate in trying to overcome the life challenges you're faced with. But understand, it is very, very, very much revealing that any situation that causes you worry and upset is because of these feelings of the ego in you feeling inadequate. Otherwise, you would believe that you could just deal with the situation on your own successfully. Why does the ego in you feel inadequate? Because it is inadequate. It has no power. It only tries to have power. It can never have power because it's filled with fear, doubt, judgment of others, judgment of self. Does that make sense? Does that ring a bell? Hey, I'm not pointing the finger at anybody. We all have that within us. All of us. All of us do. But when we can learn to recognize this, that is the frailty. That's the weakness in us. And it's a necessary step to face that weakness, to face that frailty, so it can be corrected. It's the errors in thought that come from that if you don't correct that. But it's hardly, effective to give you or to have you boost your own confidence, and to which you are entitled. You can't boost your confidence if you're not willing to face head on the ego in you that's filled with doubt, wants to judge others, wants to judge yourself, wants to criticize, and wants to be afraid of taking action. I'm going to pause for a minute as you think about that, or a second, because I got a time frame here and I got to keep going. But you must also gain an awareness too that the confidence in your real strength is fully justified in every respect and in all situations and circumstances in your life. But when you practice the exercise that I just had given you, try to go within as far as you can in your mind, not in your brain, in your mind, to a place of real safety. It's kind of like in the morning, it was raining the other morning. It's raining a couple days here, but the other morning, I lifted my window a little bit just so I could hear the raindrops trickling down. It's such a soothing, so you know what I'm trying to say here. But when you reach that sense of deep peace and security, however brief it might be, realize that that's the Holy Spirit in you, not the ego. If you can acknowledge that and know that, now you're on to letting go of all the trivial things that just seem to eat away at the surface of your mind. Remember, the ego in you cannot go deep inside, because the ego only exists on the surface level where all the fear and doubt and judgment is. Only spirit, only the Holy Spirit is deep within you. Only that. The ego will never dive into deep water. There is a place where nothing is impossible, and that is where the strength of God sits and rests within us. Don't you think? I do, if you think about it. But don't think too hard on it. Don't analyze it like an engineering project or a mathematical solution, because then the ego will jump in and try to dissect it. And when we dissect, we come away from wholeness because we're cutting things apart. Again, here is your exercise. And I'm going to repeat this one last time. And it goes like this. There is another way of looking at the world, and I now can see that God is the strength in which I trust. Wow, I hope that makes sense to you, because it does to me. And I'm so exhilarated just by relaying this to you in my voice. That's just, my voice is just something that's extending onto you. I'm extending my love to you. It's an extension of self, the same self that you are. We are connected, interconnected. Doesn't mean that you have to agree on everything, but there's certain things that I've said that you've been in all over, AWE, all over, not everything. That means a connection in allness. AWE, allness is a revelation. Well, I hope the best to you, and I invite you to sign up for my Everyday Miracles Mastermind newsletter, where you and I, we all, the reader, we're all readers, and then I and you together, the author, we bring our minds together for self-success and for a better world. I hope you'll join us. You can find out more at my website, jamesnussbaumer.com, on joining the Everyday Miracles. It's under subscriptions. And you're also welcome to, if you're not already a member of the free version of that newsletter, because maybe you're not ready to join the mastermind group, which is fine and great, and is why I have the Everyday Miracles free version of the newsletter. You can click on, if you're at my website, at the header above and the footer below, will it just say newsletter? You can sign up and join. I wish you would. But also, please support my work, because I put so much effort. I put a lot of work, and I'm going to be traveling again soon. And it's just a lot of work. But my focus is on extending myself to you so you can have a better life. And that's why I named this podcast For a Better Life Podcast. I love Twitter. For some reason, I don't know how this started to expand, but only, I guess, the spirit in me knows. For some reason, I'm getting a lot of attention on Twitter. And so I love Twitter. I'm highly engaged on Twitter. Please follow me on Twitter. Facebook as well. I have a personal page and a fan page at Facebook. You'll find it under James Nussbaumer. And please support my work. And Google Plus, too, is a great place to engage. But I hope you'll follow me on YouTube, as I've explained. And as I close here, like I always have to say, please, I wish you would be a reader of my books published by Ozark Mountain Publishing Company, a mainstream publisher. My third book now, I'll run through them real quick. Book one is called The Master of Everything. It's a story of mankind in the world of illusion we call life. Book two is a sequel to that called Mastering Your Own Spiritual Freedom, Lessons from A Course in Miracles. In book three, that's just now released, and it's killer. Oh, it's a killer story. It's called And Then I Knew My Abundance. All at Ozark Mountain Publishing Company, but you can find them on Amazon.com or in your local bookstore. And by the way, please, if you're still listening to me, because I got to go, I'm looking at my meter and I'm running out of time. If you go into your local Barnes & Noble or whatever major bookstore you go to, or even your little bookstore in your neighborhood, and they do not have my books on their shelves, would you ask them for me, please, to order my books and get them in there? I'm supposed to do that as the author. I can't get around everywhere, so I'm hoping that I can have you kind of help me if you like my message. I think you follow my drift on that. There's a lot of authors out there in the world, and we can't be in all the stores, but you might be overseas somewhere. You might be in a little corner of America I can't get to or whatever, but if you're listening to this and you go into a store, hey, just say, go to the counter and say, can you look up James Nussbaumer? He's Ozark Mountain Publishing Company, Ozark Mountain. Hey, How about getting his books into the store? You know, they would gladly do that. So I hope to meet you. I'll be speaking at the Transformation Conference in Eureka Springs in August. You can find more on that at Ozark Mountain Publishing Company, my publisher who is sponsoring that. And I'll be doing book signings in a lot of areas coming up. So if you see me and you run into me there, please tap me on the shoulder or something and say, hey, I was listening to your podcasts. You know what a smile that would put on my face, and we'd both smile at each other, and we would extend our inner selves towards each other as one, and we'd walk away having a better day. Don't you think? That's what life's all about in this world, and I hope you agree. Hey, I got to go. James Nussbaumer signing off. It's been a lot of fun. I wish the best for you. Thanks again. God bless.